Good day, everyone. We are the group 4 and we're talking about the chapter 18 about the back to the Hong Kong in the Philippines. After publishing his sequel to the Nolly, Rizal left Europe for Hong Kong dahil of his political differences with Marcelo del Pilar and ibang Pilipino sa Spain. Dahil doon, yung buhay ni Rizal ay naging miserable. So, after na-publish yung libro niyang Noli Me Tangere, lumuwas si Rizal sa Europe para pumunta sa Hong Kong. So, another reason for his decision was his desire to be with his family. So, as disclosed in his letter to Blumentritt on September 22, 1891, Spes Rizalino, Vol. 5. So, nonetheless, before proceeding to Hong Kong, Rizal took time to inform Marcelo del Pilar. So, ibig sabihin nun ay in-inform niya si Marcelo del Pilar for his retirement from the reform movement to preserve the unity of his fellow Filipinos in Spain. So, sinabihan niya si Marcelo del Pilar na of his retirement to reform the movement of his fellow Filipinos in Spain. So, now, we're next, life in Hong Kong. Rizal left Europe via Marcellus, France on October 1891 on board the steamer Melbourne. So, he arrived in Hong Kong on November 20, 1891. So, Filipino residents welcomed Rizal, especially his friend, Jose Mabasa. So, lahat sila doon ay gustong makita si Rizal ulit sa British Crown Colony. So, sobrang special si Rizal sa kanyang kaibigan na si Jose Mabasa. So, next. He arrived on Hong Kong on November 20, 1891. So next, after setting office at number 5D Aguilar Street and number 2 Redna Sokla Terrace. So, Rizal opened a medical clinic in order to earn living. So, sa office at number 5 Aguilar Street and number 2 Redna Sola Terrace, Rizal opened a medical clinic para mag-earn siya ng money for living with SIDE and SIDE 1999. At first, he only had a few patients. Pero dahil sa referral na galing kay Dr. Lorenzo P. Marquez, a Portuguese ophthalmologist in Hong Kong. So, Rizal was able to have numerous clients. So, soon, Rizal established a name in curing eye disease while he was in Hong Kong. So, that's it. So, next. Meanwhile, he took time to inform Blumentritt of his medical practice in the British Crown Colony December 1891. He received news from his brother-in-law. So, ibig sabihin nito, ay he took time to inform Blumentritt of his medical practice in the British Crown Colony. So, nagsulat yung magulang niya to ask the permission of his return to the country noong December 1, 1891. So, on the same day, naka-receive sila or nakatanggap sila ng balita galing sa brother-in-law that Don Francisco, neneng Sisa, and Panciano and other Calambinos were rusticated. So, before Christmas on 1891, Rizal was overjoyed. Why? Because by the arrival of his father, brother, Silvestre Obaldo, and later on by Lucia, Josefa, and Trinidad in Hong Kong. So, Don Francisco and the rest of his family members were very happy to see Rizal. Yun. So, Don Francisco, sobrang tuwa or lahat ng members ng family niya, sobrang tuwa nung makita si Rizal. Sobrang happy nila na nakita ulit si Rizal. So, being able to see the difference between life in the Philippines and Hong Kong. So, si Don Francisco, sobrang na-impress siya kay Rizal dahil permanently na sila sa Crown Colony of Britain. So, next, Rizal medical practice in Hong Kong came to the attention of his friends in Europe. So, parang letters started pouring to Rizal from Spain. So, Lorenzo Mecha congratulated Rizal. So, kinongratulate si Rizal ni Lorenzo Meclat. So, starting a new and pledged support of his undertaking. So, supportahan lang sila to support of his undertaking. So, Alejandro informed of his plan. So, ibig sabihin nito, plan na establish an organization to counteract Del Pilar's lamentable policy with Rizal as leader. So, Leonard Rizal promised Rizal that he would seek an audience with the Minister of Colonies in Madrid on the agrarian problem of Calamba. So, ibig sabihin nito, susuportahan siya ang ibig sabihin nito ay nag-promise si Linares Rivas kay Rizal na would seek an audience with the minister. So, parang support lang talaga siya kay Rizal. Always support as a friend. So, he also received letters of sympathy from the Govantes and Mostre family for what had happened to him in Madrid. So, nakakatanggap siya ng mga sulat na nagpapatungkol sa patungkol sa nangyari sa buhay niya sa Madrid. So, yun lamang ang naging buhay ni Rizal sa Hong Kong. So, next.
So, let's go to my topic. The first bullet, Linares has promised to Rizal. So, ano nga ba yung pinramis ni Linares kay Rizal? No? Linares promises to Rizal that he would seek an audience with the Minister of Denies in Madrid on the agrarian problems of Calamba. So, ano yung agrarian reform na to is yung the land para sa landed area ng mga peasants. So, the second bullet, he also received letters of sympathy, reawakening of interest in politics. So, Rizal continued writing articles which were published by Hong Kong Telegraph, edited by Fraser Smith. Some of the articles he wrote in Hong Kong included the following. Side in 1999. So, the numerous correspondences from the Europe that Rizal received while he was in Hong Kong affected in Rizal in three ways. So, ano nga ba yung naka-apekto kay Rizal na tatlong bagay? Una dyan, yung ang karapatan ng tao. Pangalawa is la Constitution Española. Pangatlo is yung sa mga kababayan. So, ano nga ba yung ang karapatan ng tao? So, ito yung Rizal's version of rights of man. Ito ay na-documented in French Revolution in 1789. Pangalawa dito yung a la Nation Española. to the Spanish nation. So this article was Rizal's appeals to Spain to rectify the wrongs done to the landless peasants of Calamba. So the third dito yung sa mga kababayan to the countrymen. So this article was Rizal's exposition on the Calamba agrarian problem. So in the fourth bullet, the need to re-examine his political strategy could have been due to the radical ideas. So this strategy as suggested by Lima and Evangelista. So according to Evangelista, the old corrupt generation of principles had to be rejected. No? Responded by Luna and Evangelista, the need of a separatist movement and a policy separation and independence pattern after Cuban strategy. So for Luna, a separatist movement under the guise assimilation on has to be started. Thus, in Rizal letters to Blumentritt, he said that he had lost his hope in Spain and La Solidaridad. He thus come to the realization that nothing can be expected from the peaceful advocacy of reform. So, Rizal, therefore, while he was in Hong Kong, have considered the possibility of using force of arms. Nonetheless, Blumentritt cited for condition necessarily for a revolution to succeed. So, Rizal, therefore, in Hong Kong, had considered the possibility of using the force of arms to effect the change in country. This he consulted to his best friend Blumentritt that warned Rizal to be involved in a revolutionary movement, for whoever begins a revolution should have at least the probability of succeed. Ayon yan kay Guerrero in 1998. That the part of army and a navy should rebel. Pang-una yan. Pangalawa is the metropolis should have at war with other country. Pangatlo, there were money and nutritions. Pang-apat is serve foreign country men, official secret support to the instructions. So, yun lamang po.
Borneo Colonization Project. Gusto ni Rizal na magtayo ng Filipino colony sa British, kaya bumisita siya noong March 7, 1892 para kausapin ang mga British authorities na may gustong magbigay sa Pilipino ng 100,000 hektarya ng lupa, beautiful harbor, at magandang gobyerno sa loob ng 999 years. Sabi ni Haina ay masaya daw siyang sasama kay Rizal. Ngunit agad namang sinabi ni Hidalgo na, bakit pa natin iiwan ang magandang lugar natin na Pilipinas?
So let us now proceed to the hope for the realization of the North Borneo project. So while Rizal was busy making preparations for the relocation of his family to North Borneo, Governor Julio Despujol replaced Governor Valeriano Weyet. With this assumption, into the highest post of the Philippines, a new ray of hope shone on Rizal due to the program of good government pledged by the new Governor-General, optimistic and armed with extreme desire to help the landless tenants of Calamba. Rizal wrote Despujol a congratulatory letter with an offer of cooperation with his leadership in the country on December 23, 1891. Despujol, however, did not reply to Rizal's correspondence. With no Rizal's writings in Hong Kong. As a consequence of the reawakening of his interest in politics, Rizal continued in writing articles which were published by Hong Kong Telegraph, edited by Fraser Smith. Some of his articles he wrote while in Hong Kong included the following: Ang mga karapatan ng tao. This was Rizal's version of the rights of man, a historic document proclaimed by the French Revolution of 1789. The second one is A la Nación Española. To the Spanish nation, this article was Rizal's appeal to Spain to rectify the wrongs done to the landless peasants of Calamba. And the last one is, sa mga kabayan, or to my countrymen. This article was Rizal's exposition on the Calamba agrarian problem. So let us now proceed to Rizal's lays down the basis of the La Liga Filipina. So while in Hong Kong, Rizal laid down the basis of the La Liga Filipina or the Philippine League, which he would establish in the Philippines upon his return. He then drafted the Constitution of the La Liga Filipina with the assistance of Jose Maria Basa. Based on the constitution of this organization, the La Liga sought to achieve the following aims: the unification of the whole archipelago into a vigorous compact body, mutual protection in every want and necessity, defense against all forms of violence and injustice, stimulation of instruction, agriculture, and commerce, and the undertaking of the study and application of reforms.
Going over the aim of the La Liga, based on its constitution, there shall be 3 levels of organization council in the La Liga. First one is popular, 2 is provincial, 3 is supreme. So 3 levels of organizational councils in the La Liga. So membership to the Liga, however, depends on the passing certain tasks of unanimous endorsement. Once accepted, the member shall be monthly due membership in the La Liga with, however, entitles member to following privilege. Once nakasama ka na sa La Liga, meron kang dapat bayaran na monthly due na isang beses mo makabayaran upang maging certified member ka ng La Liga. Then, the privilege is a financial 2, number 2, materials, and moral of assistance. As earlier mentioned, membership in the La Liga requires payment of the monthly dues, the decision of return to the Philippines. This pushhole rejected the North Borneo project of Rizal. His decision to repair to the country was vehemently opposed.
The decision to return to the Philippines. As mentioned earlier in this chapter, the Spuhol rejected the North Borneo project of Rizal. The Spuhol's rejection of the project led Rizal to choose between Borneo, peaceful emigration, and Cuba, eventual revolution. In the words of Guerrero, 1998, the Spuhol had cast the dice for Rizal, and Rizal decided to go back to the Philippines. His decision to return to the country was vehemently opposed by his parents and friends because of their fear of the negative consequence it can bring out for Rizal. Despite the advices given to him, Rizal was determined to be back in the Philippines. Before leaving Hong Kong, he celebrated his 31st birthday with some of his friends and wrote 2 letters. The first letter was addressed to his family and a second to his countrymen, with the instruction that these letters should be opened and published after his death. Some portions of his letters taken from Epistolario Rizalino, Volume 3, are reproduced now. This is the example of the letter dedicated to his parents, brethren, and friends. The affection that I have ever professed for you suggests this step, and time alone can tell whether or not it is sensible. The outcome judges things according to the consequences, but whether the result is favorable or not it may always be said that my duty urged me. So if I die in doing it, it will not matter. A man owes to die for duty and his principles. I hold fast to every idea which I have advanced, and shall willingly die for it, and even more willingly sacrifice all to secure justice and peace for you. With pleasure then, I risk my life to save so many innocent persons. Later, he went to Tarlac, where he met the Villafuertes, the Punos, and Tañedos, who were convinced that the La Liga Filipina should be organized. Rizal returned to Manila on June 28, 1892, after his travels to Central Luzon. He was met at Hotel Oriente by numerous Filipino reformists in the social gatherings tendered for him by these reformers. Rizal took time to expound his plan about the La Liga. In one dinner tendered for him by Doroteo Anguico, he was able to secure the agreement of Apolinario Mabini, Andres Bonifacio, Deodato Arellano, Timoteo Paez, Arcadio del Rosario, Juan Zulueta, Pedro Serrano Lactau, Moises Salvador, and Ambrosio Renzares Bautista, and the urgency of establishing the La Liga. So on July 3, 1892, Rizal founded the La Liga Filipina in Calle Ilaya, Tondo, in the home of Doroteo Anguico. Elected president was Ambrosio Salvador. The other officers were Agustin de Lazario, Fiscal, Bonifacio Arevalo, Treasurer, and Deodato Arellano, Secretary. Noted members of the La Liga were Apolinario Mabini, Andres Bonifacio, Deodato Arellano, Timoteo Paez, Numeriano Adriano, Tomas del Rosario, and Jose M. Dizon. Rizal deported to Dapitan. 3 days after the founding of the La Liga Filipina, Rizal went to Malacanang again. The governor asked him whether he has an intention to go back to Hong Kong. Rizal replied positively to the query. After a while, the governor proceeded to ask him the owner of the pillows and the mats in his luggage, as there were questionable handbills in them. Rizal's answer was that they belonged to his sister Lucia Despujol. Therefore, ordered his aide-de-camp to arrest Rizal and incarcerate him at Fort Santiago. One day after, July 7, 1892, Despujol released his gubernatorial decree ordering the deportation of Rizal to Dapitan. His deportation was based on the following charges against him: publication and introduction of various anti-monastic books and handbills, traveling through different provinces without permit from the Governor-General, finding in his luggage the pamphlet Pobres Frailes, or Pool of Friars, which mocked the religion's orders, dedication of the El Filibusterismo to the memory of Gomburza, and Rizal's attempts at decatholicizing and denationalizing the Filipino people. Without due process, Despujol rendered his verdict on Rizal. Rizal was detained in Fort Santiago for 9 days. On July 15, 1892, he left Manila for Dapitan, where he would be spending the next 4 years of life. With his deportation to Dapitan, the Liga died its natural death. It split into 2 branches: the rightist, which means to be called Cuerpo de Comprimisarios, and the lefts, which later on came to be known as Katipunan or KKK.